Oh yes, the topic for today is how to figure out what you want to do with your life. Hopefully it'll be an interesting topic, it's relevant for everyone, and we'll have a fun 45 minutes together discussing this. So, an overview of what we're going to talk about. First of all, why are we all unsure about what we want to do about what we want to do about what we want to do? Good start right up, right? Stumbling over my words. Why are we all unsure about what we want to do with our lives? We'll think about that. And then there's this thing of personality tests, which are so popular, and everyone does them, and why doesn't our life change? Why are we still unsure? And then I'll go into some ancient yoga wisdom called the 6 opulences, which explain how to have a rich life, and generally one of these is the thing that really resonates with us. So we'll talk to that in lots of detail. And finally, we'll wrap up with karma yoga, which is the art of all work and enables us to have a truly satisfied life. That sounds good. Let's get started. So, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been like, I'm not exactly unhappy, but I'm just unsure? I'm just like, am I doing the right thing? What am I doing here in the first place? Why am I endeavoring so hard for all these things? Is this the right thing to do? I'm just not sure. Do I have the right hobbies? Do I have the right friends? Am I expressing myself properly? Has this happened to anyone? Anyone felt like that before? Yeah. Most of everyone? Yeah. And then sometimes this unsureness spills over into, why am I unhappy? And everyone else seems to be happy and completely sure of what they're doing with their life. Why am I the only one? And everyone feels like this, right? It's not just you. Everyone's hiding behind this facade of, I know what I'm doing. Yes, I have my life totally figured out. Be attracted to me. And secretly, when you get home and you're in your room by yourself, you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Why is everyone so sure of their life? And the reality is, everyone's feeling like that and pretending not to feel like that. So, with this overall uncertainty that everyone has about their direction of their life, everyone thinks, yes, personality tests, that's the solution. If I just do enough questionnaires online, there's the DISC personality test, or the Big Five, or there's many others that variations on these themes, figure out how you rate on various scales of personality, and then that's supposed to help you figure out, oh, I need to take this kind of job because as an accountant, I'm probably better. If I'm introverted, I'm probably better to be an accountant. If I'm extroverted, I'm probably better to be in sales, and that kind of stuff. And that is true. At the same time, there are some brilliant extroverted accountants, and there are some fantastic introverted salespeople who have learned to adapt their personality to the job. So it's not necessarily a one-to-one fit, and not necessarily something that is prescriptive. So these personality tests are limited in that way, but also these personality tests don't really get to the root of the issue. They are testing your mental framework and how you function, how you think, but they don't really address your deep internal needs of the soul. That requires something else. So, suppose I can ask the question, who here would love to have a prosperous, thriving, flourishing, buoyant life, full of satisfaction, surety, and joy? Anyone? Okay, yeah. Who has that right now? Oh, yeah, one bit. Good on you. Yes. So, I can't promise that after today you'll have that. But at least maybe you can take one step a little closer to that and have at least some idea of which direction to go to achieve this. And yes, as I talked about in the introduction, there's this knowledge of the 6 opulences. 6 things that would create a rich, vibrant sense of satisfaction in your life. And this is knowledge from ancient India, ancient yoga knowledge about over 5,000 years old knowledge. I'm not making this stuff up, but I'm not writing some self-help book. I'm just reading and repeating what is written in these ancient texts of wisdom. So, let's start them, and we'll go into these in detail, but let's describe what the six are. One, there's yasha, Sanskrit, known as, roughly translated as fame, is one of these opulences. And I'm using Sanskrit words for these because, again, I want to show I'm not making these things up. It's from an ancient wisdom culture, and Sanskrit is such an amazing, descriptive, precise, and beautiful language that actually understanding the Sanskrit words gives you much more of an insight into what these things mean than the English translation. Fame has so many connotations in our mind, both negative and positive, where yasha is a much more precise word. So if you want to study Sanskrit, you can understand this a lot better. But anyway, yasha, fame, that's one of them. Next is aishvarya, control. Next is virya, strength. Next is shriya, beauty. Next is vairagya, renunciation. And finally, jnana, knowledge. So we'll go into these in detail, but first, here's a quote from Bhagavad Gita that explains that all of us have a certain nature, and even a person of knowledge acts according to their own nature, for everyone follows the nature they have acquired from the three modes of nature. What can repression accomplish? So you have a particular nature that is tuned to one or more of these opulences and so many other things. You might try to repress that. Your friends, parents, associates might think, oh, it's really bad to want to be famous. You shouldn't want this, just as a hypothetical example. You should not want that. And you take that on within yourself and are miserable. But repressing your internal nature just not only makes you miserable, it's actually impossible. Your nature will come out. So you have to engage your nature properly and purify it, rather than try and repress your nature to be something that you're not. So, with that in mind, you can ask yourself, as I'm talking through these six opulences, which one are you? And to do that, think of asking yourself, what do I admire in others? When I look at someone else and go, wow, they are so ... That's the thing that is your nature. What do I desire for myself? I wish I was like, I had that. Or what you endeavor for so much, what you try over and over again. What do you consider worthwhile? What do you consider worthy when someone is one of these? You go, wow, that's really good. And someone is something else, you're like, yeah, just who cares? What do you spend time in relation to doing, what you enjoy doing, what you express yourself with, and what you want to be known for. When people talk about you and they go, wow, you are so that, whatever that is, that's your nature. And I'll ask everyone at the end of the talk, which one are you? So, place yourself. Usually people are one or two of these. Usually one primary or two kind of combined. So here we go. Strength. So strength, virya, is physical strength, but also mental strength and kind of dexterity of the body or grace of the body. Also health, strong constitution, being able to live without disease. So people who are really into virya work in sports or yoga or dance or bodybuilding or construction. Some work as firefighters. Some as doctors in the health industry. There's lots of people who are really into virya. They want a strong, healthy body. And some people don't care for this at all. They think, oh, well, as long as I'm not sick, I'm fine. My body's fine. Don't need to worry about strength. And you think to yourself, when you think of strength, you ask yourself always, is this activity healthy? Is this a challenge? Is this something that will grow me physically? Is this something that will produce growth mentally? So here are some examples. Anyone know who this guy is? Thor Bjornsson. They hired him for Game of Thrones to play some giant fighter, and he's, by some measures, the world's strongest man. That's his girlfriend next to him, who's like the size of one of his arms, practically. So here's him breaking a lifting record.
The man is 6'9". He covers the ground he walks on. He's ready himself for doing more than the world record. 1,041 pounds. Let's go! Let's go! Y'all need to stand up on your feet. This is more than a world record. This is history being made. The head judge's hand is raised. It is time. It is time. Where's the electricity? That's a new world record, Mark.
So yeah, half of you would be like, oh my god, that was so stupid. The announcer trying to fire people up. Can you feel the electricity? he's lifting a weight, come on, what's the big deal? Other half of you were like, that's like over 500 kilograms. Do you have any idea how heavy that is? That's amazing. I really admire this guy. So you can tell if you're really into strength, if by your reaction to this. And no reaction is wrong, but both are true in a sense. But by your reaction, you can see if this is your opulence. And you can use strength for good and bad purposes. A firefighter easily lifting an old lady in a flood to safety, using strength for a good purpose. So many, and don't think strength is not only for men. Like many yoga students, female yoga students, use their strength to perform yoga postures like this. Sham, can you do this?
No.
No.
Not huge.
How about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sham is our superstar yoga teacher here, one of the yoga teachers, who is very expert at yoga. Also, besides the physical strength, there's the endurance, physical endurance, and mental strength. A lot of getting through difficult situations is how mentally strong you are, not necessarily how physically strong. And yes, endurance, being able to run long distances, that's a manifestation of strength or virya. And finally, being healthy is a manifestation of strength. Someone that appreciates having a healthy, strong body knows that they need to feed themselves healthy vegetarian food in order to maintain that body. So, for example, there's this lady, Elizabeth Creighton-Jones, a herbalist and naturopath, who is in this picture 50 years old.
Whoa.
And close up of her. And you're like, she isn't a 50, but she's with a vegan diet for many years and really looks after her health, being a naturopath and so on. So, strength, she's really into strength. Strength is not only physical strength, virya, it means the body in general. Next, we have yasha, fame. So, if you like having a big family, big community, like expanding your levels of influence, you know hundreds of people and they know you. They all trust you. You can't have enough friends, and everyone's talking about you. That's the manifestation of fame. And some people think, oh, I have 1 or 2 friends. That's enough. I don't need more. Then you're not into fame. Generally, you work in media or acting or in government if you're really into fame. Some examples of fame. Anyone know who this is? Who doesn't know who this is? No. No? Someone shout it out. Will Smith, yes. If I can show a picture of someone to a room full of people and everyone knows who they are, that's fame. How about these two? Everyone? Yeah. Easily know. How about this? Who is it? Anyone? Yeah. So you might think Kim Kardashian. What exactly is Kim Kardashian famous for? She has no particular skill, hasn't done anything extraordinary, and really, I had to look this up. Really, the only thing she's famous for is having a big butt. I mean, literally. and she hangs out with Paris Hilton a lot, who is famous and kind of by proxy became famous. So the reason she's famous, though, is because she really wanted to be famous and did everything she could to put herself forward into associate with famous people, become exposed on social media in various ways. So she is really into fame. And even though she, by any rights, should not be famous because she hasn't done anything worthy of being famous, she's famous because she tried so hard. So you can, if you're really into fame, you can get fame in spite of no qualification. So here's someone who has qualification and really knows how to manipulate the art of fame.
When we first met Lady Gaga in London, we planned a quiet stroll down the River Thames.
Should we walk?
When she arrived, about a dozen paparazzi were following her.
Do you ever get used to this?
No.
No?
No.
Make no mistake, Lady Gaga uses the photographers as much as they use her. Over-the-top outfits are designed to grab headlines and get people talking.
Everywhere you go, are you always in full regalia?
Yeah. Regalia, that's a fabulous word. Can I steal that from you? Thank you.
How tall are those?
Well, I
How,
do.
how do you even walk in those?
I suppose they're about 10 inches, 11 inches. I'm very talented.
I have no doubt about it.
Multi-talented.
What I understand is you study. I mean, you're a student of music, you're a student of fashion, you're a student of fame in a way.
One of my greatest artworks is the art of fame. I'm a master of the art of fame.
To understand how Lady Gaga got so famous, you have to start with her music. She's been on tour for much of the past 3 years. A tireless performer in concert, she's constantly on the move, singing, dancing, changing costumes. Her biggest hits are dance songs. Some of the imagery may remind you of Madonna, but Lady Gaga is more outrageous. She studied the artistry of others, but is a creation all her own. Spending time with Lady Gaga, we realize the outfits and transformations are not just attention-getting, they're also attention-directing, a way for her to keep the public focused on her work as opposed to her personal life.
As part of my mastering of the art of fame, part of it is getting people to pay attention to what you want them to pay attention to and not pay attention to the things you don't want them to pay attention to.
You studied the fame of other people, how they got it, how they kept it, and how they lost it.
The sociology of fame, and how to maintain a certain privacy without feeling like you're withholding anything from your fans. My philosophy is that if I am open with them about everything, and yet I art direct every moment of my life, I can maintain a sort of privacy in a way. I maintain a certain soulfulness that I have yet to give.
The pressures of maintaining fame and the deadly price other superstars have paid for it are a frequent theme in Lady Gaga's performances. At the MTV Video Music Awards, she shocked the audience by ending her song Paparazzi drenched in blood, hanging above the stage. Blonde icon dying before our eyes.
That's what everyone wants to know, right? What's she going to look like when she dies? What's she going to look like when she's overdosed on whatever they think I'm overdosing on? Everybody wants to see the decay of the superstar.
Do you think people want to see your decay?
What? Of course they do. They want to see me fail. They want to see me fall on stage. They want to see me vomiting out of a nightclub. I mean, isn't that the age that we live in? That we want to see people who have it all lose it all? I mean, it's dramatic.
And then climb their way back.
Right. It's a movie. And yet, I'm not like that on my own time. I'm not a vomit in the club kind of girl. When you ask me about the sociology of fame and what artists do wrong, what artists do wrong is they lie. And I don't lie. I'm not a liar. I built goodwill with my fans. They know who I am. And I'm just like them in so many ways.
Mastering the art of fame is one thing, maintaining that fame is another. The music is what Lady Gaga believes will allow her to do just that.
So yeah, if you're really into fame, you know how to manipulate what people want and what people want to think. And fame in its Sanskrit word of yasha is a combination of the words kirti and dharma, or known as the child of kirti and dharma. And translations of those are being talked about and doing good things. So true fame is to be talked about for good things. And people who have used this, their fame to this effect are people like Mahatma Gandhi, of course, who kicked the British out of India by using, in large parts, his fame, his notoriety. And anyone know who this is? Martin Luther King Jr., right. He, of course, created a lot of civil rights in the United States for black people. And the way he got started in this is actually quite interesting. He arranged demonstrations in towns where he knew everyone hated black people, and had lots of press assembled there to take pictures if something happened. And he provocated police brutality for protests he organized, so that, for example, when his protesters got attacked by police dogs, there was a picture of it, and the picture made headlines. And everyone was outraged, leading to his cause. And when school children got water blasted by the police, or by the fire department, there's a picture of it. And the president saw that picture and was like, kids are being water blasted. We can't have this. We gotta change this. So, Martin Luther King, in one sense, he was cruel and manipulative. In another sense, he knew that the higher purpose of what he was doing, and expertly used his fame, and fame created fame for the purpose of many more rights for black people. And ultimately, he was successful, of course, assassinated for his efforts. Because he was too powerful for people to accept. So, next, moving on. Aishvarya. Aishvarya comes from the Sanskrit word Ishvara, which means controller. So, Aishvarya sometimes translated as like wealth or money, but it's really more about the control than the money. The money is the side effect of having the control, the power, the wealth. If you're a leader, have leadership over others, have leadership in your own life, don't like to be told what to do, you're really into Aishvarya. If you can't have a boss telling you, do this, or else, and you just go, oh no, and it turns into a big fight, you are natural born Aishvarya person. You like your control. People like this tend to work for police or as leaders in companies, anywhere where there's chance to exert power, leadership, in business or in society, and you ask yourself, is this justice? Is this honorable? Is this ethical? People with Aishwarya think about these things. Anyone know who this is? Who these two, actually? Putin and? Who was that? Netanyahu, yes, of Israel. Recently re-elected Prime Minister of Israel, I don't know how. But both very powerful people, not necessarily using their power for good, but they are very much into leadership and having people do what they say. Anyone know who this is? Current Jeff Bezos, the current wealthiest person on the planet, worth like $150 billion or something crazy. So yes, he is very much into power. People doing what he says in his company. Similarly, police, different kind of power. They have the power to enforce the law, and people that get into the police are very much into Aishwarya, into power, into leadership. Similarly, a sports coach, also into power, also into leadership. Similarly, of course, in a business setting, if you're at home in this kind of situation where if you're at the head of the table, if you're directing conversation in business and showing leadership, this is you. Here is an example of, has anyone here ever asked for a raise at work? More money? Okay, how did it go? You got what you asked for? Yes. Well done. Here is Ben Horowitz, legendary CEO and investor, venture capitalist, talking about what a boss should do when an employee, like you, comes and asks them for a raise. Ben Horowitz is worth about $3 billion. So he's been CEO of many companies. He knows what he's talking about. And judge by your reaction to this video. If you're really into leadership, you'll be like hanging on his every word. If you're not, you're like, I'll never be in a situation where I can give people raises. And you're quite right, you won't be, because you're not into leadership.
Example 2. An excellent employee asks for a raise. So, look, your first thing is, like, they're really good. They asked me for a raise. They didn't ask me for no reason. They asked me because they think they deserve it. I want to retain them. Like, I want to be fair. They've done a great job. I want to be fair. And, like, you know, I know that if I give them this raise, like, it's going to be all love coming my way. It's going to be, if I give you a raise, we're good, you know, like we're boys. Me and you. You got a raise. It's awesome. And then, if you look at it, okay, well, what about from their perspective? How would they, like, take it if you gave them the raise? And now you have to remember, the employee, for them to get to the point where they've asked you for a raise, this is not something they just, like, woke up one morning and, like, I'm going and asking for a raise, right? Like, this is something where they've thought about it a lot. They've, you know, compared their other options. They may have an offer from another company. You know, it's something their spouse probably has been talking to them about. And so it's a serious thing. And so if you give it to them, they're very likely to feel very good about it. Like, they may be, like, paranoid about, like, why you giving me a raise? But very unlikely. Much more they'll feel like, I'm sorry, I have to just let the whole thing And that's, for those of you who don't know, that's Bobby Shmurda and Rowdy Rebel doing the Shmoney dance. But that's likely the reaction you'll get. So there's a lot of momentum to say yes. However, you know there was going to be a however. What about, you have to think about it through the point of view of the employee who did not ask for the raise. They may be doing a better job than the employee who did ask for the raise. And in their mind, they're going, okay, so I didn't ask for a raise and I didn't get a raise, and they asked for a raise and they got a raise. And so what does that mean? That means, one, like, you're not really evaluating people's performance. You're just going, well, whoever asks gets. So that means like, I either need to be that guy who asks for the raise, like, and that's just not how I feel. Like I do my work and I don't necessarily want to ask for a raise, or like I just need to quit and go to a company that like actually evaluates performance. And then, so you could really make the person who doesn't get the raise feel like pretty pissy about it. And don't think that when somebody's walking down your company doing the shmoney dance that other people aren't going to notice. Like, so they're going to be fired up about that raise. They're saying, you can say, oh, this is highly confidential that I'm giving you this raise. It's not confidential. And then the cultural conclusion is going to be everybody in your company is going to feel that they now have a fiduciary responsibility to their family to ask for a raise all the time. Because if they don't, then they may be missing out on a raise that they would have otherwise gotten. So what do? And really the right answer on raises is you have to be formal. And you have to be formal to save your own culture.
So yeah, surprising for people that don't think from the mentality of a CEO, but it makes a lot of sense as a CEO. And you might think, I'm going to be a CEO of a company, come on. And you're right, you won't, if you think that way. So, next. Beauty, Shriya. So, this is also kind of like Aishwarya. Aishwarya and beauty and Shri are kind of used interchangeably a bit, but that's imprecise. It's more throughout, it's not just the physical beauty, it's charisma and being inspiring and appreciating beautiful clothes, beautiful paintings, beautiful music, fine art, dance, gardens, nature, landscapes, all these things. You care about how things look, you care about the opulence of things, you care about splendor, you care about things being clean, things being orderly, things being nice. And you tend to work in fields of artistry, of any kind of art, anything that makes something beautiful in any possible way. So then you ask yourself, is this beautiful? That's your main question, right? So you really appreciate when the University of Kent goes about and generates the perfect human face, computer generates the perfect human face, both male and female, and you're like, yes, those pictures are really beautiful. You really admire, or not, some people, not that. Some people admire Teerera Cove on Waitakere Island, probably one of the most expensive properties in Auckland, worth $30 million, has its own vineyard attached to the property. You really admire someone setting up their bed like this. You really admire someone creating tiny artwork like that. You really admire someone setting up a room that looks like that. You admire an outdoor setting like this. You're like, wow, so beautiful. You love to walk through a forest like that. You love to be in a pool like this. You love to walk along here, Da Nang in Thailand. Anyone been there? Anyone looking at this picture go, I want to go there? Yeah, you're into beauty. You really like beautiful paintings. You look at a painting like this by Albert Bierstadt, painted in 1860, picture of California landscape. You're like, wow. And it's not just natural beauty, also human-made beauty. You look at a watch like this and go, wow, that's amazingly beautiful. Or you look at a simpler shelving unit designed by the famous Dieter Rams of Braun. And you're like, that is so functional, so clean, so minimalist. I love it. And you might look at a motorcycle like anyone know what kind of motorcycle this is? Anyone into motorcycles? Black Vincent, yes, someone said it. 1951, Black Vincent. The fastest motorcycle of its time for many years. Could go 230 kilometers per hour in 1951. Death machine, of course, killed so many people. But really beautiful in its power. If you're not into beauty, you don't care about these things. You might look at your choice of phone and go, the Sierra Wireless VOOC Professional, there on the left, functional, nice, has a keyboard, or the iPhone 10. The Sierra wireless is fine. Might look hideous, but I don't care, it's functional. Where if you're into beauty, you're like, how is that even in comparison? And if you're really into beauty, this next video is a combination of strength and beauty. And based on your reaction, you see if you're really into the athletic performance, you're more about strength. If you're really into how much this gymnast is really enjoying herself and how beautiful the dance is in its artistry and how much fun she's having, then you're into beauty. So let's watch this short clip. And she got a perfect 10 score for that, the highest score you can get in gym. So, that's Shri, beauty. Next, 2 more. Knowledge, Gyan. So everyone wants some knowledge. And, but people that are really into knowledge, they just love learning new things. They're curious, they love amassing knowledge, they like to read, they like to study, they like to investigate, they like to take things apart, they're always reading a book. They ask a billion questions, people tell them, stop asking so many questions, it's annoying. If you're really into knowledge, you ask lots of questions, and people like this are teachers, scientists, government advisors, and they always ask themselves, is it true? Is it wise? So, looking at a wall like that, you're like, yes, I want to understand. You're a natural teacher, you like to understand formulas, you like to teach knowledge to other people, you can teach really complicated knowledge, or you can teach simple knowledge, but you just love knowledge and transmitting it. Working on complicated things on computers, this doesn't scare you, it's not just a burden, it's something that you actually enjoy doing. Person like this looking at a complicated graph, you're like, fun, yes, I want to understand. Not, oh my god, horrible, just make it stop. And when you are in a situation where this, come across something like this, you're like, me, I want to ask so many things. Tell me more. I want to know. You have 100 questions. So, better say, we're running a bit short on time. Should we go on, or? All right. So, I have a video that makes you think. If you're really, here is Matthew John O'Dowd, Australian-born astrophysicist, professor. He runs PBS Spacetime on YouTube, which you can watch, and he talks about the latest science in astrophysics. And here's a short clip of him explaining something about quantum mechanics. And if you're like, wow, that's so amazing, I want to know more, you're into knowledge. If you're, that's the most boring thing in my life, make it stop, you're not into knowledge.
Physicists hate being outsmarted by the universe, so they've come up with clever ways to measure which way the particle travelled while still preserving coherence. I'm going to talk about the most famous, performed in 1999. This experiment made use of a very special type of crystal that absorbs an incoming photon and creates 2 new photons, each with half the energy of the original. These new photons are twins of each other, In fact, they're an entangled pair, so fundamentally connected in strange ways that we'll come back to. So place this crystal in front of the double slit to make coherent entangled pairs of any photons passing through. Send one of each pair off to the screen to produce our interference pattern, and use the other to figure out which slit the original photon passed through. Let's focus on detectors A and B here. Detector A lights up if the original photon passed through slit A, and detector B lights up for slit B. If we run this for a bunch of photons, we see that whenever detectors A or B light up, we get a simple pile of photons here at the screen. No interference pattern at all. It's as though any knowledge of which way the original photon travelled stops it from acting like a wave during its passage through the slits. And crazier, this experiment was set up so that photons reach A or B after their twins reach the screen. So a photon lands on the screen according to the pattern defined by its wave function, and then later its entangled partner reaches detector A or B and somehow retroactively influences the previous landing position. It's like the second photon is saying, whoa, 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 someone figured out which slit I came through, you better look like you came through that one too. This is amazing, and given that we only interact with one of the entangled pair, surely that means we aren't messing with the other, so we aren't ruining the interference pattern with decoherence. Could it get any weirder? This is quantum mechanics, so yeah.
So yeah, you're like, some of you are like, wow, that's amazing. Some of you, I don't care. You see your natures. Next, and last, vairagya, perhaps the most interesting, renunciation. So vai means without, and ragya means attachment. You're not attached to things. People think that you have to, if you're going to be spiritual, you have to be renounced. You have to go to a cave somewhere and meditate, which is a complete misconception. You can be spiritual with any of these opulences. No matter what your nature is, you can be spiritual. And people think that, oh, just because someone is renounced, someone doesn't need material things, they must be spiritual. Well, that's not true. Someone can be completely renounced, but completely materialistic at the same time. Completely thinking that they are matter and not spirit. Someone that's renounced is simply happy with simple things, happy with leading a simple life. They want lots of freedom. They want to go where they want, do what they want. People like this can be traveling musicians or forest rangers or aid workers. They're happy with a job that doesn't pay much but satisfies their need for simplicity, for freedom. They ask themselves, is this simple? Is this free? Is this peaceful? For example, this couple living in a bus, they're into vairagya, they're into renunciation. Someone living in this treehouse, they're like, yes. If you can see yourself in this, living in this kind of situation, or in this kind of situation, and you're like, yes, I love to live there for a year. You're into vairagya. If you're like, I couldn't imagine anything worse than living there for a year, you're not into vairagya. If you think, travel like this, yes, so free, yes, I can go anywhere and don't know what will happen in my life. If you think, how horrible, I don't know what's going to happen in my life. This could be me, oh no, or this could be me, yes, I want to do this. Camping in the wilderness in just a tiny bus. This is either great for you or horrible for you. The mantra of someone that is into vairagya is less comfort, more life. As occupations, like I said, you could be a forest ranger. Going through the forest, so much freedom. You can set your own day, you can do so many things, you can do something useful. Or you can be an aid worker, living in a situation like this, but helping so many people. Your life is worthy. You don't need material comforts, as long as you have a good purpose for your life. Or, of course, generally people that are really into vairagya have a lifestyle like this, where they become a monk and help other people in that way. Or a monk, such as, anyone know who this is? Targanath in Krishna Center in Wales, who's serving vegetarian food. Many of us have visited there. I think they're very nice. also very much into leadership, if anyone knows him, but also in pronunciation. So, which one of them are you? Having covered all this. And think, if someone thinks, wow, you are so, that's you. And whatever one of these you are, you should craft your life so this is something in your life. This is, this opulence is being engaged in your life in some way, either through a hobby, but ideally something that you do 8 hours a day, because any one of these can be turned into profit generation. Kim Kardashian, she's worth like $300 million for nothing. So if you connect this to your day job, then you'll actually be leading a rich life, a rich and wonderful life. And none of these are good or bad. All can be used for good. So, one or two of these are standing out and going, yes, that's me. So, which one of you is into strength? A few? Don't be embarrassed. It's fine. Everyone can be. Okay. Who is into fame? Yasha. Anyone? No. It's generally rare. If you're into fame, you really know you're into fame. Who is into Aishwarya? Control. Power. Yeah, a few people? Yeah. Who is into Shri? Beauty. Yeah, a bunch of people. Who is into Gyan? Knowledge. Yeah. This is me. This is like me totally. I'm so much into knowledge. I'm always listening to some, always learning. I love giving these talks. Who is into Vairagya? Renunciation. Oh yeah, quite a few. You might not realize. Right? So then, any one of these can be engaged to if you want to engage these in a spiritual purpose to be fully satisfied, you can take any of these and apply them, well, both in your work life, but also in your spiritual life by helping out in a place like this. Completely optional, but for example, if you are really into strength, you want to lead a healthy life. There's so much of learning about diet, vegetarian food here, so much yoga. If you want to be known as a good person for fame, then read about and learn about what an actually good person is. So many people think they're doing good, when actually causing harm. So learn the true art, science, and culture of being a truly famous person who's being talked about for doing good things. If you're into control, learn how to be a compassionate leader who leads for the right reasons and does the right thing and has a true sense of morality. If you're into Shri, this place needs so much decorating. Please volunteer and help. And there's so much beautiful music or dance or food preparation, creating beautiful dishes to talk about. And true beauty is internal. If you can transform yourself to be a beautiful person inside, so much vibrance and happiness, you actually become a beautiful person outside. So much beauty, opportunity for beauty here in Krishna consciousness. And then there's Gyan. Oh my God, Gyan. Have you seen the books outside? There is unlimited knowledge for you to study and learn, and it's truly amazing, mind-blowing. If you're into Gyan, I implore you to just get one of the books tonight and start reading. You can never stop. And finally, Vairagya. There is, for people that want to live such a lifestyle, there's plenty of opportunity to renounce material possessions but gain so much in freedom. You think you're stuck in some rat race job, you don't have to be. There's an alternative lifestyle, as many here have pursued. All right then, I will leave you with a quote by Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Krishna consciousness movement in the West. He says, or he has said that Krishna has given everyone something extraordinary, and to serve Krishna with one's extraordinary talent means having a successful